In the afternoon of the 9th day, we took a ferry from Belfast, Northern Ireland, to Cairnryan in Scotland. Then we headed north along the west coast of Scotland. We made a brief stop in the small town of Ayr, Scotland, and arrived in Glasgow City in the evening. Glasgow is Scotland's largest city and port, as well as one of the important whiskey-producing areas in Scotland. We only had a brief 2-hour stop here, choosing to visit the Clydeside Whiskey Distillery. This distillery is the first to produce single malt whiskey in over 100 years. Single malt whiskey is considered the pinnacle of whiskey because most Scottish malt whiskey is used for blending with grain whiskey. Only about 3% of the highest quality malt whiskey is selected and bottled as single malt whiskey. Stobcross is the distillery's first single malt whiskey, with floral, fresh sweetness, hints of fruit, and a touch of white pepper in its taste. Here, we watched the whiskey-making process and tasted 2 new spirits in the tasting room. The guide taught us how to taste whiskey, starting with observing its color, then smelling its aroma, and finally tasting its richness and lingering finish. The distillery's showroom displayed a variety of pricey and prestigious whiskey brands, overwhelming visitors with its offerings. Visiting the distillery felt like visiting a museum. Regardless of how much you know about whiskey, you'll gain fascinating knowledge. After visiting the Clydeside Whiskey Distillery, we continued our journey north along the west coast and reached Edinburgh. Edinburgh is a village located near Loch Long on the Argyll Peninsula in the Scottish Highlands, nestled within the Trossachs National Park. It's renowned for its natural beauty, with mountains, lakes, and rivers making it a paradise for outdoor enthusiasts. We spent our 9th night at the Edinburgh Hotel, which, though somewhat dated, offered stunning surroundings nestled amidst the mountains and waters. Despite it being midsummer in July, the mornings in Edinburgh were surprisingly cold. We woke up early to witness brave young men and women swimming in the chilly waters of the lake, their youthful figures dotting the serene landscape. After breakfast on the 10th day, we continued our journey north along the west coast towards Loch Ness. Passing through the Three Sisters in Glencoe, Scotland. These 3 steep ridges sit along the skyline of the valley, forming a magnificent view alongside the famous Boichael Edinburgh Moor, guarding the entrance to the gorge and the nearby beautiful Loch Leven. We made a brief stop here to relax and admire the stunning scenery of the Three Sisters. Approaching noon, we arrived at Fort Augustus. Fort Augustus is a small town located at the southern end of Loch Ness, renowned for its picturesque scenery and shrouded in mystery due to its legendary monster. At the town center runs a narrow waterway, the famous Caledonian Canal. which connects the east coast of Scotland at Inverness with the west coast at Fort William. One of the main attractions in the town is the series of locks on the canal, a must-see site for all visitors. From here, we boarded a cruise boat and embarked on a 2-hour journey on Loch Ness. Perhaps we would be fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of the monster, although it's unlikely. Loch Ness is Scotland's second-largest lake, and legends of the monster in its waters date back to the 6th century when Irish missionary St. Columba and his followers allegedly encountered it while swimming. Since 1930, there have been increasing reports of sightings and even blurry photographs of the Loch Ness monster. It has become a classic enigma of nature. However, whether there truly is a monster in Loch Ness is no longer of primary importance. It has developed into a multifaceted tourist destination, attracting numerous visitors each year. As tourists listen to broadcasts about the millennium-old legend of the Loch Ness Monster on the cruise boat, along with scientific explanations and silhouette cutouts of the black monster pasted on the cabin glass, this becomes the main part of the entire journey. Whether it's worth the ticket price is subjective. Yet, the beauty of Loch Ness is undisputed. The gray-blue waters nestled amidst lush hills, with dense forests covering the slopes. Verdant trees blanket the rolling peaks, and in the distance, it resembles a vast green ocean. Occasional speedboats leave trails of white foam on the lake's surface. Along the shores, leisurely horses and cheerful children frolic on the grassy slopes in front of the castle, creating picturesque scenes reminiscent of an idyllic paradise. After visiting Loch Ness, we left Fort Augustus and began our journey south through Scotland towards Edinburgh. We passed through the small town of Pitlochry in Scotland. Pitlochry is situated on the banks of the River Tummel and is a renowned mountain resort destination. We made a brief stop here to rest, enjoying a coffee on the tranquil streets before continuing our journey south. We arrived in Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, on the evening of the 10th day of our journey. Edinburgh is the second largest city in Scotland, with its medieval Old Town and Georgian New Town. First, we visited the area near George IV Bridge in the city. This area is home to world-class libraries, courts, museums, as well as famous landmarks such as Victoria Street, the statue of Greyfriars Bobby, and church courtyards. The Greyfriars Bobby statue is built by the people of Edinburgh in memory of a loyal little dog named Bobby. It is one of the must-visit attractions in Edinburgh. Legend has it that in 1856, Edinburgh policeman John Gray adopted a Skye Terrier named Bobby. When John Gray passed away 2 years later, Bobby followed his funeral procession. For the next 14 years, the dog would only leave his master's grave at noon to eat at nearby restaurants. Eventually, a restaurant was renamed Greyfriars Bobby's Bar, and the dog became famous among the locals. Bobby passed away in 1872. and was buried near his master's grave inside the churchyard gate, which was an exception. Bobby's story is touching and heartwarming. This statue has become one of the most photographed spots in Scotland. Next, we strolled through the old town, experiencing the unique flavor of Edinburgh. Victoria Street is a short street not far from Edinburgh Castle in the southeast. With winding cobblestone streets and brightly colored classical and warm shops, considered one of the most beautiful streets in Edinburgh. We enjoyed a fine Italian dinner at Victoria on the Bridge restaurant on George IV Bridge. In the evening, we checked into the Novotel Hotel in Edinburgh Park, concluding our itinerary for the 10th day. On the 11th day, we had a packed itinerary in Edinburgh. Early in the morning, we visited the town of Grangemouth near Edinburgh to see the home of the Kelpies. The Kelpies are a pair of giant steel horse heads. Each head weighs over 300 tons and stands 100 feet tall, representing iconic landmarks of Scotland. These creatively crafted horse sculptures were created by artist Andy Scott, paying homage to the horses that once powered Scotland's industrial might. Next, we visited the town of Falkirk nearby to explore the Falkirk Wheel. The Falkirk Wheel is a rotating boat lift located in Tamforhill, Falkirk, in central Scotland, designed to connect the Forth and Clyde Canal with the Union Canal. It is a striking 21st century iconic structure. Here, we took a boat ride to experience the process where the wheel lifts the boats and connects them between the canals via a pair of boat locks.
And 100,000 square meters of retail and commercial development. This is outline. You can see which one you are on today when you go on. Those special names were chosen for a reason of aquatic plants, 15 species of wine.
In the afternoon, we visited Edinburgh Castle. Situated in the city centre with a history spanning about 900 years. It's a significant symbol of Scotland and Edinburgh and is one of the most famous haunted locations in Scottish history. The ghostly events that often occur in the dungeons are a favorite topic among visitors. Perched atop Castle Rock, a dormant volcano 135 meters high, the castle overlooks Edinburgh with cliffs on 3 sides and a slope on one, making it Scotland's most popular paid tourist attraction. This fortress, dating back to the 12th century, has served as a royal residence, military barracks, and even a national prison for captives of war. Its strategic location and formidable defenses have made it a highly contested site throughout history, reflecting the tumultuous history of Scotland. On the castle walls, rows of black cannons are neatly arranged, facing Firth of Forth, reminiscent of the fortress's defense measures in ancient times. The square at the castle entrance, known as the Esplanade, was historically used for parades in the 18th century. Every summer during the Edinburgh Festival, the famous military tattoo is held here, showcasing grand military performances. Leaving Edinburgh Castle, we visited Calton Hill, Edinburgh's most romantic spot. There are two monuments on Calton Hill. The National Monument, erected in 1822 to honor soldiers who died in the Napoleonic Wars, and the Nelson Monument, built in memory of Admiral Nelson. At 1 o'clock every afternoon when the Edinburgh Castle fires its cannon, a small ball atop the Nelson Monument's tower descends. Also atop Calton Hill is the prominent domed structure of the City Observatory. In the evening, we headed to the Royal College of Surgeons of Scotland to watch the Spirit of Scotland show. The name Spirit of Scotland show may sound a bit dizzying, but in reality, it's an innovative and entertaining event featuring some of Scotland's finest musicians, dancers, and performers, showcasing both traditional and contemporary Scottish culture. It's a must-do experience for anyone visiting Edinburgh. As we arrived, we were greeted by a full set of bagpipers in traditional Scottish attire. Men in kilts and women in traditional dress stood out in the hall. Before the show began, we enjoyed a dinner featuring 4 Scottish dishes and drinks. The performance commenced as we savored the delicious food and wine.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland!
It was a vibrant evening of pure Scottish entertainment. After enjoying the Spirit of Scotland show, we concluded our 11th day in Scotland. In the next video, we'll continue to share the itinerary of the Best of UK and Ireland tour.